Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Master the Best that DraftSight has to offer session at 3D Experience World. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Alex Timofeev, and I will be the presenter for this session. I am a director for 3D Experience and DraftSight Business Development at Dassault Systems. All right, let's jump in. The first thing that I would like to talk about is a very brief high-level overview of DraftSight. For some of you, this may be a very familiar solution. For others, it may be something new. But DraftSight is a professional 2D and 3D DWG design and drafting solution. It's a very mature product and solution. It's been serving a worldwide market for over 10 years, and I'm delighted to say that we have over 200,000 clients worldwide. Now, one of the advantages that I always like to highlight when talking about DraftSight, and you may see this during the demo later today, is that DraftSight has a very minimal learning curve. So if you've used other DWG-based CAD applications, DraftSight will seem very familiar with a lot of similar commands, features, and functions. But today I'd also like to put emphasis on some of the unique and differentiating capabilities in DraftSight. One of the other advantages of DraftSight is that it has flexible licensing options. So whether you're an individual proprietor or a large enterprise, there is a licensing option of DraftSight available that can suit your needs. So with that, I do want to mention that DraftSight is not just one product or one application. It really is an entire portfolio of solutions. There's the 2D DraftSight, which is called Professional or Enterprise if you use network licensing. And that has all of the standard 2D design and drafting tools, as well as things like smart dimensioning, support for Lisp, a very robust API. But today, we'll really spend time focusing on the best version of DraftSight, which is both the 2D and 3D version, which is usually called Premium or Enterprise Plus. Additionally, if you're looking at 3D Experience DraftSight, which is a comprehensive solution that gives you the power of DraftSight and CAD, together with a world-class ecosystem for collaboration, data management, project management, and so much more on the 3D Experience platform. All of the capabilities that I'm going to show you here today are available inside of 3D Experience DraftSight Premium. So with that, let's jump right in. So DraftSight, whether you use Premium or Enterprise Plus, it's the best version of DraftSight. It has all of the features that are available inside of DraftSight. And some of the ones that I'd like to point out are 3D modeling as well as 2D constraints. Then I'll talk about custom blocks, which are very similar if you use dynamic blocks in the past with some unique capabilities. Sheet Set Manager, which is new for DraftSight, released in 2021. Associative Patterns, and so much more. So now I'm going to jump over into DraftSight and walk through some of these features using a few different data sets to show you the capabilities that DraftSight Premium or Enterprise Plus has to offer. Let's jump in.
All right, so jumping over into DraftSight, let's start with 3D tools. So as you can see, I have a model open of a bridge, and I already have the 3D modeling toolbar set up. You can do that by simply clicking the little drop down in the upper left corner and choosing 3D modeling if that's not visible to you by default. So I'm going to jump over into the 2D drafting tab because what I'd like to do is cut out a hole in the specific bridge to add a staircase later on. So jumping over, I will select the rectangle, make sure I'm choosing the nearest points, then sketch a rectangle right into the surface of the bridge. Then I can use the extrude command and select the surface that I'd like to extrude, that rectangle that we just drew. And then because I'm looking to actually make it as a cut, I'll use the Boolean operator subtract, select that extrusion, and now I've made my cut in the bridge. So now let's look at a different example as far as the 3D tools. So here I have another model. This is a steel beam that I drew in DraftSight Premium. So now, let's say I want to extend that. We can do that with just one simple click. By using the push and pull command, I will select the surface that I would like to, in this case, pull. And then by simply clicking and dragging, I can extend the beam. Further, if I need to make a cut, just like we did with the other model, in this case, I need to make a cut in the steel beam, go through those same steps of using the command. I can go through that same step, sketch a rectangle on the surface that I need to cut, use the push-pull, and then remove that extrusion, and I have my cut. So as you can see, very, very easy with just a few clicks to start doing some basic traditional operations in terms of 3D modeling with DraftSight Premium. Now let's move on to working with 3D patterns. So going back to that bridge that we took a look at earlier, there's a lot of different options as far as using 3D and 2D patterns, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But here I can just take any surface, any sketch model, and do a very simple extension. All right. But let's make it a little more complicated. On that same bridge, we have a railing, and we like to extend that to the full length of the bridge. And here we can see we're a little bit short. So there's a number of ways we can do that. So I'm going to just go straight into the railing. I'm going to select it. And by simply selecting the points, I can extend that. So in this case, I've extended it to cover the entire face of the model. I can also configure if I'd like to run a more customized pattern. So again, selecting that handrail that I have them, I can specify the horizontal axes, which I'm extending against, how far I'd like it. So in this case, I'd like 4 more supports on that handrail. Then I can specify the spacing between each of those supports and automatically create that pattern to extend the handrail. So that's an example of using the patterns in 3D. Now jumping over into a model of the library building, I can do the same pattern commands, whether simple or complex, in 2D as well. So you can use the pattern or array in the command window. DraftSight recognizes the commands that you already learned if you used another 2D CAD application. With that, you can pull up the panel to configure the pattern. So as I mentioned, we want to work on the auditorium, so I'm going to zoom in on that, specifically the seats in the auditorium. And there's a few different ways that I can edit this pattern. So one of the simplest and easiest in this case, because I have a predefined pattern, is I can use the grip points in the pattern to extend it. So I can add some more rows. And I can also remove any unneeded rows. So just by simply clicking and dragging, I can adjust that pattern right on the fly. Additionally, so grip points are one option. The other option is that I can do it through the properties task pane on the right side. So when I have my pattern selected, I can type in how many rows in this case I'd like, and the pattern is automatically updated. So I went from, for example, 4 to 8 rows of seats. All right. Now let's take a look at another example. So here I have a set of chairs in that same library arranged in a circular pattern. So I have 6 chairs and I can use the grips to change that pattern. For example, space them out further. Or additionally, I can change the number of chairs in the pattern itself. So for example, if we want to go from 6 to 10 seats in that circular pattern, just go into task pane, update the numbers, the pattern is automatically updated. So with DraftSight, very, very easy to quickly both create as well as edit existing patterns. And one last example I'd like to show is if we have, for example, And this is just a kind of a bit of a random line that I've drawn, but I do have this seating configuration for for chairs and a table. And I'd like to build out a pattern right along the line that I've drawn. We can also do that. So by opening up the pattern configuration, I can select the path. So that third tab, specify the entity, in this case, the table and chairs, and automatically specify how many I'd like along the line that I've drawn. So in this case, 25. Click OK, and the pattern is automatically updated on the screen. So very simple, very easy to work, and to really save a lot of time. I don't have to just copy and paste a lot of blocks. I can use the pattern commands to quickly and very easily edit my drawings. So something that I love working with patterns because we work with a lot of common blocks day to day. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. So moving on, let's take a look at the Sheet Set Manager, which is something new for DraftSight. It was introduced in 2021, and there's been some very cool enhancements in the latest release in 2022. So let's walk through Sheet Set Manager. So here I have a drawing opened, which already has quite a few sheets in it. So you can see the Sheet Set Manager task pane on the right side of the screen. I can click in, for example, into the library building and see all of the associated sheets that are part of the library building. I can quickly rearrange how the sheets are organized. So if I need to move something from the cafeteria, for example, into the library or into the mechanical drawings that I have for the handrail, I can do that. Simple drag and drop. Additionally, just with a click, I can navigate through the various sheets that I have in the sheet set. So one click through all the different views that I have of my model. And I can also open up any existing sheet sets. It uses the industry standard file format, DST. Next thing I can do, so if as soon as we've organized our sheet sets, everything is ready to be exported, shared with other vendors, with contractors, whoever needs access to these drawings. I can use the publish command and, for example, publish to PDF. So I'm publishing the entire sheet set. So we'll save on loading time here and just jump over into the final result. So as we can see, everything is organized just like you set it up inside of the DraftSight task pane. So whatever order you specify, that's exactly how the PDF is exported from DraftSight. So I have all of the sheets that I had inside of DraftSight now all export into a single PDF. So now this is something that I can share with external stakeholders, with other team members working on this project, whether through the 3D Experience platform or any other format. So nice, simple, and easy. And if we look at the other side of that equation, so we do work a lot with PDF files, and with the Sheet Set Manager, we can quickly create PDF files, but we also, on the other side, may receive PDF files. And DraftSight Premium specifically has the PDF import feature. So let's take a quick look at that. We have PDF import. It's in the import tab in our ribbon there. So I'll select PDF import. I will find the drawing, the PDF file that I'd like to import. And in this case, this PDF has 20 pages, 20 sheets in it. It's 20 sheets. So you can select one, you can select specific sheets that you'd like to import, or you can also use the batch processing command. And there's a lot of different options available. I'm just going to import everything into the current layer. So I select the two sheets I'd like to import, make sure I've chosen all of the options that I'd like, click OK, drag in my sheets, And voila, they're automatically imported. I have the geometry and I can start to edit if I need to edit these drawings or work with them and then save them as a DWG. So very simple, and batch processing I think is a huge time saver when working with PDF import. And one of the last things I'd like to show you is actually a two-part. First, DraftSight 2022 now has dark mode available. So jumping over into the dark mode interface of DraftSight here, we can see all of the toolbars, task panes, everything is now available in dark mode, which has been a highly requested feature by our users. So I have another drawing open, and I'd like to walk you through custom blocks, which is also a new enhancement for DraftSight. So custom blocks allow you to create configurable blocks or use existing configurable blocks that you can import. For example, dynamic blocks, you can import them into DraftSight and use custom blocks. So just to walk you through a few brief examples, I have this model of the cafeteria. We have a door, and we'll click on that. This is already a pre-configured custom block. So instead of doing it as a single door, I can make it a double door, quickly switch by just clicking the grips. The same for the tables in my cafeteria area. It's pre-configured. I want to make sure it's the same type of block as the others. And we can do this with any of the models that we have that have been created. We can also edit the blocks if we need to, if we'd like to change any attributes. In this case, I want to switch to a different type of table, and I also want to add another table. So change the configuration of that block, and then simply copy, paste, drag it. And same with this tree that I have in the middle of the model. As well as the couch on the side. So with custom blocks, it's a huge time saver because you're able to reuse these configurable blocks across multiple drawings, across multiple projects, and you're able to edit them as needed to create new ones. And also, like I mentioned, import dynamic blocks into DraftSight and then convert them over into custom blocks. So hopefully that gives you a brief overview of some of the cool features that are available only inside of DraftSight Premium or Enterprise Plus if you're using DraftSight Enterprise Plus. So I'd like to jump back over into the presentation for a few closing slides.
So, jumping back into the presentation just to end our session for today. Over the last few minutes, we've walked through how some of the different features and capabilities in DraftSight Premium and Enterprise Plus work. We looked at how to model in 3D, how to use custom blocks, how the sheet set manager functionality works, and a few other features that I hope were exciting for you to see. So with that, just to conclude, if you have any questions about DraftSight, we're always happy to connect with you, to answer your questions, to engage. I do highly encourage you to see some of the other sessions for DraftSight here at 3D Experience World, as well as on February 9th, there is a DraftSight Meetup session. So there you can join a panel of industry and DraftSight experts and ask any questions that you may have, whether DraftSight Premium or anything else related to DraftSight. And additionally, one great resource that I'd like to point out is the swim community for DraftSight. So if you go to swim.3ds.com and search for the DraftSight community on the left side, you can interact with fellow DraftSight users as well as post questions for our team. We're happy to connect with you and help you out in any way we can. Now, if you're looking to learn more about DraftSight at a higher level, or if you're looking for additional technical resources, a few great places to go are DraftSight.com as well as 2dcad.com, which goes in depth about 3D Experience DraftSight. There's the DraftSight YouTube channel, which is a great resource, especially the DraftSight Learning Journey playlist. This is a series of 100 videos that in 1 to 2 minutes go over 100 different features and how they work in DraftSight, similar to what we've done today. And if you're working inside of DraftSight and ever have a question about how a specific feature works, I highly encourage you to click the little help link in the upper right corner and read the documentation. This documentation is localized with screenshots and very in-depth step-by-step instructions on how to use DraftSight to its fullest potential. So with that, thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you have a wonderful time at 3D Experience World. Have a great day.